Good day everyone, Dr. Yang here. As a health expert, it is my duty to inform and empower you with knowledge that can profoundly impact your well-being. Today, we are going to discuss a topic that sits at the crucial intersection of nutrition and pharmacology, a subject that is often overlooked but carries significant weight for anyone who takes medication and enjoys the bounties of the sea. We are talking about the interaction between common medicines and certain types of fish. The overarching message from the scientific community is clear and urgent. There are specific kinds of fish that can fundamentally alter how your body processes medication, turning a life-saving prescription into a potential threat. This is not a matter of mild discomfort. It is a matter of biochemical interference that can lead to severe, even life-threatening, consequences. So, let us delve into the science, understand the 6 categories of fish you must be cautious with while on medication, and arm ourselves with the knowledge to navigate this hidden danger. The primary villain in this story is a naturally occurring compound called tyramine. To understand tyramine, we must first understand a critical enzyme in our bodies called monoamine oxidase, or MAO. MAO's job is to break down excess tyramine and other amines from our food. Under normal circumstances, this system works flawlessly. However, a class of drugs known as monoamine oxidase inhibitors, MAOIs, is prescribed for certain conditions, most notably depression and Parkinson's disease. Common MAOIs include phenelzyne, tranylcypromine, and isocarboxazid. As the name implies, these drugs inhibit the MAO enzyme. This is their intended therapeutic effect within the brain, but it has a systemic consequence. The body's ability to break down dietary tyramine is severely compromised. When someone on an MAOI consumes food high in tyramine, the compound cannot be metabolized properly. It builds up in the bloodstream, leading to a sudden and dramatic spike in blood pressure. This is known as a hypertensive crisis. The symptoms can include a pounding headache, nausea, vomiting, sweating, palpitations, neck stiffness, and even blurred vision. In its most severe form, it can lead to stroke, cerebral hemorrhage, or acute heart failure. It is a medical emergency. Now, where does fish come into this? As fish age, are preserved, or begin to spoil, the proteins in their flesh break down through a process called fermentation or putrefaction. This process generates exceptionally high levels of tyramine. Therefore, the first category of fish you must be extremely vigilant about if you are on MAOIs is aged, processed, or improperly stored fish. This category is a broad and dangerous one. It includes, most prominently, smoked fish. Think of lox, smoked salmon, smoked trout, or smoked mackerel. The smoking process, combined with the aging and salting that often accompanies it, creates a perfect environment for tyramine formation. Next, we have salted and dried fish, such as salt cod or stockfish. These traditional methods of preservation, while effective for shelf life, result in incredibly high tyramine concentrations. Then there are fermented fish products, like fermented herring or certain Asian fish sauces and pastes. These are essentially designed to be controlled spoilage, making them tyramine powerhouses. Finally, and this is critical, any fish that is not absolutely fresh. Fish that has been left out too long, even if it is cooked, or fish that is beginning to turn, can have dangerously elevated tyramine levels. The rule is simple: if you are on an MAOI, your fish must be impeccably fresh, cooked immediately, and you must strictly avoid all smoked, cured, fermented, or aged fish products. But the story of fish and drug interactions does not end with tyramine and MAOIs. Another critical interaction involves a very common and life-saving medication, warfarin, also known by its brand name Coumadin. Warfarin is an anticoagulant, meaning it thins the blood to prevent dangerous blood clots that can cause strokes or pulmonary embolisms. The effectiveness of warfarin is a delicate balancing act, meticulously managed by doctors through regular blood tests to ensure the blood is thin enough to prevent clots but not so thin as to cause spontaneous bleeding. This balance is heavily influenced by vitamin K. Vitamin K is a crucial cofactor for the synthesis of clotting factors in your liver. Essentially, vitamin K promotes clotting. Warfarin works by antagonizing vitamin K, inhibiting the production of those clotting factors. Therefore, the amount of vitamin K in your diet directly affects how warfarin works. A sudden surge of dietary vitamin K can counteract the effects of warfarin, making your blood clot more easily and putting you at risk of the very thrombotic event the drug is meant to prevent. This brings us to our second category of concern: fish high in vitamin K. While most fish are not exceptionally high in vitamin K compared to leafy green vegetables, there are notable exceptions. The most significant one is eel. Eel, particularly in certain preparations, can contain considerable levels of vitamin K. Other fish like salmon and tuna also contain some vitamin K, though usually not in amounts that would cause a dramatic shift unless consumed in very large, consistent quantities. The key here is not necessarily to eliminate these fish entirely, but to consume them in consistent, moderate amounts. The worst thing a person on warfarin can do is to suddenly feast on a large amount of eel or dramatically change their weekly fish intake without discussing it with their healthcare provider. Consistency is the cornerstone of safe warfarin therapy. Now, we must address a more widespread and insidious interaction that affects a vast array of medications. This involves a family of compounds not naturally in the fish itself, but rather, a consequence of human activity and the food chain. I am speaking of environmental contaminants, specifically organochlorines like PCBs, polychlorinated biphenyls, and heavy metals like mercury. These industrial pollutants find their way into our waterways and oceans. They are absorbed by algae and tiny organisms, which are then eaten by small fish. The contaminants are stored in the fat tissues of these fish. When larger predatory fish eat these smaller fish, the contaminants bioaccumulate, meaning their concentration increases up the food chain. The largest, oldest, and most predatory fish end up with the highest levels of these toxins in their flesh. Why is this a problem for medication? These fat-soluble toxins can interfere with the body's intricate system of metabolizing drugs, primarily by impacting a group of enzymes in the liver known as the cytochrome P450 system. This system is responsible for breaking down a huge proportion of all pharmaceuticals, from statins and blood pressure pills to antidepressants and pain medications. When these enzymes are inhibited or induced by external toxins, it can alter the concentration of a drug in your bloodstream. It can render a drug less effective by breaking it down too quickly, or it can cause a drug to build up to toxic levels by slowing its metabolism. Therefore, our third category to avoid is large, predatory, high-mercury fish. This is not just advice for pregnant women, it is crucial for anyone on long-term medication. The primary offenders here are shark, swordfish, king mackerel, and tilefish. These fish consistently top the list for mercury contamination. By regularly consuming them, you are introducing a substance that can disrupt the very metabolic pathways your body uses to process your medication, potentially leading to treatment failure or poisoning. Our fourth category is closely related and involves the same concept of fat-soluble contaminants. It is farm-raised fish, particularly from certain regions. This is a complex issue. Not all farmed fish is bad, and aquaculture is a necessary industry. However, in some intensive farming operations, especially in parts of the world with less stringent environmental regulations, fish can be raised in crowded conditions and fed diets that may be high in contaminants from processed fish meal. This can lead to farmed fish, particularly fatty species like salmon, having higher levels of PCBs and dioxins than their wild-caught counterparts. For someone on critical medication, choosing wild-caught Alaskan salmon over farmed salmon from an unknown origin can be a wiser choice to minimize this potential source of enzymatic interference. The fifth category might surprise you: shellfish. While incredibly nutritious, shellfish like shrimp, crab, mussels, and clams are known to be relatively high in cholesterol. For most people, dietary cholesterol has a modest impact on blood cholesterol. However, for individuals taking cholesterol-lowering drugs like statins, this is an important consideration. The goal of statin therapy is to manage cholesterol levels. Consistently eating large amounts of high cholesterol foods can work against the drug's purpose, making it harder to achieve target lipid levels. Furthermore, shellfish can be high in purines, which break down into uric acid. For individuals taking medication for gout, such as allopurinol, a large serving of shellfish could potentially trigger a painful gout attack by raising uric acid levels, counteracting the medication's benefit. Finally, the sixth category is not a type of fish, but a preparation method: deep frying. Frying fish, especially in unhealthy oils, adds a significant amount of saturated and trans fats. These fats can contribute to inflammation and can also affect the absorption of certain medications. More importantly, a diet high in unhealthy fats is detrimental to cardiovascular health. If you are on medication for heart disease, high blood pressure, or high cholesterol, negating the benefits of those powerful drugs by consistently eating fried fish is counterproductive. The healthful omega-3 fatty acids in fish like salmon and mackerel are utterly defeated when the fillet is submerged in a vat of oil and coated in batter. Grilling, baking, or steaming are always superior methods that preserve the integrity of the fish and your health. In conclusion, the relationship between the food we eat and the medicine we take is a complex and powerful dance of biochemistry. Fish, a cornerstone of a healthy diet, is not inherently dangerous. Its benefits are numerous and well documented. However, knowledge is our most potent tool. We must respect the power of these interactions. If you take MAOIs, you must be militant about fish freshness and avoid all preserved products. If you are on warfarin, you must be consistent and moderate with your intake of vitamin K-rich fish like eel. For everyone, but especially those on long-term medication for chronic conditions, it is imperative to avoid large, predatory fish high in mercury and to be mindful of the source and preparation of your seafood. This video is not meant to frighten you away from eating fish. Rather, it is a call to conscious consumption. Always communicate openly with your doctor and pharmacist. Provide them with a detailed list of everything you take and be proactive in asking about food interactions. Read your medication guides. Your health is a collaborative effort between you and your healthcare team, and what you put on your plate is a fundamental part of that equation. Let us choose wisely, so that our food remains our medicine, and our medicine remains effective. If you enjoy the video, please subscribe, like and share with your friends. Thank you.